Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another season of the Sinead Says Podcast. Now, I think we're on season 6. Don't quote me on that. So, yes, welcome back to the new and improved Sinead Says Podcast. And I say at the start of every season that I'm going to have a structure, and then I end up talking like rolling it off my tongue. Do you know what I mean? So we're going to try with a structure this year. We're going to try and give it a go. We have a lot to catch up on before we get into the new podcast structure. So that is what we're going to do today. I don't even know. I feel nervous. There is dust on my podcast equipment. I feel like I've been out of bounds. Well, I say that and I did a live show. Oh my God, we need to catch up. So yeah, this season might be a little different. I felt like I really needed a bit of structure. We're coming on to episode 70. We might be on episode 80. Oh my God, that means that we're going to reach episode 100. That's crazy. They always say that if you reach 100 episodes, your podcast is going to last forever. So first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who is here listening and everyone who came to the live show. I still think it was the biggest moment of my career. Even though I was so nervous for it, but when the day happened, like the nerves kind of fell a wee bit and I kind of did get into it. So we will talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so there's going to be a new structure. There's going to be... So what I was thinking is the whole point of this podcast is to learn about yourself, to learn about life, and to like navigate your way through life through learning new things. So I thought I would have like a few different sections. So because I was like, I have a lot of episodes, a lot of topics. I'm like, can I continue topics forever? I don't know if I can, but I can definitely do segments. So I definitely think that the first segment would be what I learned this week. So I learn things all the time. I learn little tweaks in books, in courses, and I just want to share them. And they always make my mind be like boggling all day. It's like food for thought, and I love that feeling of food for thought, thinking about something that somebody said or something that you read all day, talking that quote or talking about that philosophy or something with your friends. Like I love that idea. So I thought like what I learned this week was a good section, so I can talk about other little things I learned like through books or through life lessons that I'm learning all the time, because life is constantly throwing curveballs and lessons, and I feel like there's always something to learn, and there's something to learn every single week. So that's what we're going to do. So what I learned this week. And then the next section is going to be quote of the week. And I think quotes really spark inspiration, really spark things in me. And I was doing quotes of the day and stuff on my Instagram, and I was like, oh, I need to bring this to my podcast, because sometimes a little quote can just be food for thought all day, can change the way you view the world. And especially if we're talking about it and explaining it and just going over it here, that would be the next section. And then the next section, now I'm thinking of a name to call this, so like help me out with this. So obviously it's called the Sinead Says Podcast, but I just really wanted to hear more from you and be more consistent of listening to your messages, because we did try that last year, but then obviously we fell off the wagon. And then I just want more input from you. Like even if you want to talk about what happened this week and the week after, use like commenting and getting feedback. So I thought like the next section would be like they say section. You know, Sinead says they say, because you're they, you know what I mean? You're all of them. And I thought you could say something, then I could maybe do a little like agony aunt on whatever you're asking me, or just comment or talk about the topic. I was also thinking about a section, like a topical section. A good example of a topic was, we might even talk about this topic today. We don't know where we're going. We're going to see how long the catch up takes us. And just to interrupt this podcast with our sponsor, which has been our faithful sponsor since day one. That is BetterHelp, which is an online counselling and therapy platform. You know how much I vouch for therapy so much, and it has even helped me with my new relationship that you're listening to today. Especially when you enter a new relationship, you think you've healed from certain things until you enter a new relationship and triggers do arise, and you don't want them to overtake the relationship. So it's better to get a hold of them. And I think therapy is a great way, especially at the start of a relationship. just to have a bit of counseling yourself on your own triggers that come up, especially if you have history of cheating or anything like that. I feel like it is good to get all those triggers sorted and talked about in therapy so that you don't self-sabotage your own relationship. So I can't vouch enough for therapy and how it has helped me have healthy, stable relationships. So yeah, you can get 10% off your first month with betterhelp.com/Sinead. That is betterhelp.com/Sinead. The other week where I was watching Love Island and I was talking about how people, if you threaten a relationship, when you're in the relationship and you actually don't mean it, it can be very damaging. It can cause the other person to live in fear. Like that's a bit of a topic of conversation what we could talk into of why this happens and how to prevent this. And I just love talking about this. Like, why do people threaten relationships? Why do people do this behavior in relationships? And I like to go back to why they actually do it and really dive into it through all the books and courses that I've read and bring it all out and be like, okay, here's a theory of why that person does that. I feel like that'd be so interesting. Sorry, I get so excited because I'm just I just love figuring out why people do things. That's my vibe. That is literally my vibe. So yeah, I thought that, and I also have new sound effects. Do you want to hear? What do you think of the new structure? Okay. I knew you liked it. I knew you liked it. What we're going to do today is we're going to have a catch up because I feel like it's by time we had a full catch up about my life. I feel like I've been deceiving you. I have been deceiving you because I've been keeping my relationship a secret. Not a secret. It's not a secret. I wasn't keeping a secret or hiding us in back corners and not going out the door. It was just I was keeping it off the gram. I was keeping it kind of private. And it was literally just, there was many reasons for it. But at the same time, I've never done that before. Kept something really secret like that. I felt and everyone was somebody asked me at the live show, they were like, are you gonna, tell us about your boyfriend? And I was just guys, it is killing me not to talk about all the lessons I have learned in this new relationship. I feel like this whole podcast is about me being truly honest and authentically myself, and me learning things and you listening and you learning them. And I said this in my podcast, in my opening speech, I was I'm basically taking one for the team. I'm learning the lessons and then I'm coming on here giving you all the lessons I learned. So, you know what I mean? You owe me. I did say that. So I feel like I learned so much in life I am such an introspector of my own thoughts and actions and behaviors and my partner. And I like to learn from them and show you how we can learn from these things. And I feel like it's been very hard for me to keep, it's not, well, I didn't keep it a secret. I just didn't talk about it. And the reason why I didn't talk about it is because I'm as someone who's been studying love for so long, I understand the love drug and the sense of falling in love, and falling in love can sometimes come across very overpowering. And I'm I need to get rid of this love drug. I need to get rid of all the feelings that I'm feeling, all these butterflies, so that I can see the real thing, so that I know it's real, so that I can, and then when it's real, then, it's more permanent. It's more, I just didn't want to go through, here's this person in my life. Oh wait, no, he's gone again. Here's this person. I just wanted to know that it was real. And we have actually been with each other for, let me see now, I don't know, maybe since Christmas. So January, February, March, April, May, June, 6 months. It's quite a lot. You know what I mean? We haven't officially been together since then, but we basically have, to be honest. So yeah, let's get into it. Oh no, I can't do it. I feel like he needs to pop in. He's not here, he's at work, but how do I start the story? I don't know how I start the story. I'm sure some of you know, because I have showed him on my Instagram. I've showed him a few times, but nobody really realised. So yous are you show us, and I'm I fucking showed you. I've showed you, but also I've just not been done a full big posts or anything like that. Obviously those things will come because we have a lot of events and stuff coming up. Okay, so first of all, to rekindle, some people, OGs, you may know my boyfriend now is Sam from a long time ago. Maybe we were together in 2018/2019. We weren't officially together back then. We were what do you call that, ships passing in the night. I was pretty much a backpacker traveling. He was kind of more set here. I was kind of no, I need more freedom, and I need I just didn't want to be in a relationship. I just came out of I came out of that really hard heartbreak previously, and was I would just kind of say like we were two people who didn't know who we were trying to navigate something, and it was just like we didn't know who we were, and we have a lot of history. It feels weird him not being here talking about it, but we have a lot of history back and forward over the years. Like things just never seem to align because I don't know, we have a lot of history. So we became friends again, I guess. Actually, it's weird because the first day I got to Australia, the first half an hour, the first thing I did was I went to get a pedicure with Gemma, and I was in Sydney in Bondi for about half an hour, and I just looked up and there he was, and I was just like, no, you can't write this shit. Like, but anyway, but I still say to him to this day, I'm like, why have I never seen you in that area before? Like, why were you there? Did you know I was there? Like, I always say this to him, but he'll go mad at me. I hope he's not listening. I think he does listen, so sorry. He can defend himself on sometime. But so he was there, and I was just like, okay. And we haven't spoke in years. Like we literally hadn't spoke, and he it feels weird because I haven't spoken about it and I don't know, so I need to stop being embarrassed. Anyway, so we hadn't spoken. He was like and he actually lives with a good friend of mine. We're kind of in the same circle. We probably would see each other all the time. We go to the same gym. He was like, do you want to talk and like make up as friends? And like we never actually had like a massive argument or anything like that. It was just like, and I'm just like, look, obviously I'm past everything, like whatever. And I was like, yeah, of course I'll clear the air and whatever. So that was it. And he was like, would you ever go on a date? And I was just like, no, we can't. No, we can't. No. Wasn't even. And like, you know, it's been years. We were both over each other. We both accepted that breakup. Like it felt totally accepting. It wasn't one of those where like, oh, we've always loved each other. I truly feel like the both of us had fully healed and fully, you know, weren't in a place of like that. We were just totally accepting of whatever happened, and obviously we're both in this place and we're both single and we're both more mature and in better places in life. So to be honest, I was like, no way. And I just felt like I just didn't want to be in a relationship. It just wasn't for me at that point in my life. I was just like, no. So this is like the first, when I first got back, and I was like, no. That was that. And yeah, he'll kill me. He continued to show up from random places where I was, and I was like, hello. But anyway, it wasn't like a stalking situation. It was just like, oh, hello. And then like obviously our friends are friends, so like there would be times we would be things. So we decided to be friends. Because I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't want to go down this road. It's not for me right now. I feel like I went through a lot with my last one, and I just don't want to be in a relationship. I feel like I don't want to be. Yeah, I just didn't want to. So we just kind of like stayed friends, and he was probably one of the best friends ever. Like he was such a good friend to me for so long there. And I was just like, I could see myself like, you know, smiling, and I was like, no, Sinead, like don't go down this road. And I really did resist this relationship or these feelings for so long. Like he was always like being there for me and like being such a good friend and like being his like fun, charming self. And I was finding it really hard to resist the feelings. So yeah, we went on like this for a while, like being friends, and I kind of knew that I was like, my feelings were growing, so I kind of like was like, no, my feelings are growing. I want to step away from even being in your company, because I was like, I can't do this. I just don't want to go down this road. And we did that for a while, kind of like stepping back and forward. And yeah, I don't know. I just then after Christmas, I kind of gave in to like the dating, started to date a little bit, but also still not like in that place. But yeah, after Christmas, started dating a bit. And, you know, I think it's hard as well when two people have a lot of history. It's hard to like navigate it forward because like, you know, we had so much history of like, you did this, I did that. Like I've been so hurt by him, he's been so hurt by me. And like we were trying to like navigate this thing. So it was, I don't know, it was weird. It's weird. I wish someone was here to talk to me, like, because I feel like I'm just like naming out this conversation. But anyway, so so we started dating, and I honestly was just like like falling in love. Like and I felt like I was falling in love all over again with a totally different person, if I know what I mean, because I had fallen in love with them previously, but like this other person was very, very different to the person that I knew before. Like, you know, we were both like sort of not backpacking, but we were like really young and kind of like in different vibes. Like now he's very motivated, he's very you know, well, he's very successful, he's very driven, and you know, all these things. I was just like really, I honestly felt like I was falling in love with a brand new person, and I felt like it's how lucky am I to like fall in love with a person twice, Do you know what I mean? So I feel very blessed, and also like he's literally like the best person ever. He's so good, he's so adaptable, he understands everything that I want in a relationship, and he's like, if he is a communication king. I can't even, like, he's got, like, you think I've got communication, guys, he wants to talk more than me, and that is saying something. Like, he's got so much communication and so much emotional awareness. It's just like, and it was really taking me back at the start. I was like, really, like, and also I understood, like, something I will learn from this, or what I was trying to, you know what I was saying? I was trying to stay back because I understood how vulnerable I was, because, you know, in your last relationship, when you're not getting what you want and you're feeling rejected all the time from all these things that they weren't doing for you, when someone else is giving you all this, you're so vulnerable. Like, if anyone knows that if you've been in a relationship where you were, you know what I mean, you broke up from, and there were so many things that you weren't getting, and you were feeling rejected, and then you meet this other person and they're like giving you everything that you could have ever thought, it's so difficult because you could be taken on by it. But I was very aware of my vulnerability. I was very aware that I was like, no, like, I could just be going in because these are all the things that I like finally wanted, you know, like, you know. So I was understanding of my vulnerability. So I actually did step back and like be like, no. That's why I did step back, because like, I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to just run into something because, like, you know, I'm getting what I wanted, you know what I mean? So I am very understanding and aware of my vulnerability in that situation, but also like, it's hard to ignore when someone is being so good. And to be honest, at the start, it wasn't like, me and him were just all over the place. We were just trying to like navigate, and we ended up just being in a relationship. I don't know, like, he asked me on May 1st, so we're only together like officially together like a few months. Yeah, and he actually asked me in such a cute way. I can't even do it. Like, he's so cute. But yeah, so I think I kept him away for so long just because, like, I just wanted to be 100% sure. I feel like I'm in that at that age that and even like being in a relationship, we were actually seeing each other for a long time before in a relationship. Like, he has asked me a few times, but I was like, no, I need to get rid of this love drug so I can see if we're fully compatible, because I'm so aware of the love drug and like how that feels, and like sometimes you have to look at the compatibility and like, is it going to work? So I did like work on that. So yeah, I learned a lot. Knowing we're 20 minutes deep here and my podcast is meant to be 30 minutes. So yeah, I'm in a new relationship, and I feel like I learned a lot of new things with being with him. There's I think, you know, as well, before we probably didn't know much about our attachment styles and how to navigate them, and there's so many ways to like just navigate that now, and we are smooth sailing. We are very smooth. It's weird that I'm so smooth because everyone knows me and him is like years ago just not smooth. Not that we weren't smooth, like we were always always perfect when we were together, but like it was, I don't know, I was so resistant, but now I'm so in. And he's so in, and we're so happy. And I really hope that you can be happy for me. I know I also have been very nervous about sharing it, because obviously, like, everyone did have a massive attachment to my last relationship, and it was really affecting me when I was trying to date, because everyone was like, when are you gonna like, just kept asking, and I just felt like. And then I was like, do I want that? Do I want that again? I don't know. And everyone's like, do you want to put someone in the? And it's like, I don't think like it's going to be the same situation as before, but also like I never, ever, ever, like I'm having such a good time and having such fun, and I don't want to hide. I just want to share what I want to share, but also not share. I don't know, probably will share a lot on the podcast, but you know, so yeah, that is my catch up. I feel like I didn't really mean to go into that much depth, but here we are. I feel like it is a rekindle. People might recognize Sam. He is so different from when we were both together before. When we were together before, he had like a short back and size curly top. And now he has this long curly. Well, no, wait. He just got a keratin treatment, so it's not curly anymore. So he got this long hair tied up on a bun. So I don't know. I don't know if people recognize him. A few people did, and they messaged me. So yeah, we were only going out, like, everyone's like, you only went out for that long. It just felt like such a long-winded thing, because he always talked about, we always talked, it was just a thing. But anyway, we were actually together, and we're very happy, and feels like a very, very mature relationship. I feel like we both have the same values and goals, and he's so supportive of everything, and we're just, yeah, That's it. Okay. So actually, let's applaud me for that story because I was very nervous about it. Okay. Sorry. Chimes. Okay. Next segment. Okay. Actually, I don't know how I feel about that one. Maybe this one. Oh, yes. I feel like a DJ. Next segment. So, no, that's a vibe. I'm vibing with that. Okay, next segment is, so we have the segments of what I learned this week. What I learned, I'm just going to say what I learned from the live show because I feel like everyone looked at the live show and thought I looked so confident, and I felt confident on stage, but only because I don't think there's such thing as confidence. I feel like confidence is just courage times how many times you do it. It's just repetitiveness. And someone said this to me as well. Do you know how to confidently tie your shoe? And I was like, well, yeah, because you do it a million times and you know how to do it. So it's about it's about habit and repetition, and there's no such thing as just standing up there with confidence. I feel like this podcast, doing these podcasts every week, having the feedback from you guys, doing a few different talks has now led me to be a little bit more confident. And I realized that because I actually thought I was going to be very, very, very nervous on stage. Like I was really preparing for the worst, to be honest. And I'd really ate my brain for weeks and weeks before. Like I felt like I was so nervous coming up to it, but on the actual day, I just let go. I was like, whatever happens, it comes out of my mouth. And everything that I wanted to say did come out of my mouth. And I'm very proud of it. And I felt like at that moment, I realized that it's not about the confidence. It was about the courage first. So the courage to do all the podcasts, the courage to do talks, the courage to put myself in front of the camera all the time. These things have led me to have the confidence. So I feel like if you are looking at someone and thinking they have confidence, please know that there's no such thing as confidence. I feel like it's just courage. So yeah, I have said that, but maybe I have said this in the podcast before. See, we're going to get mixed up now because there's so many. But anyway, so the live show was such a massive lesson for me to learn that like, if I just keep repeating something and doing it, like I'm gonna become so much more confident in it. It's just like the podcast. I'm a wee bit like rusty right now, but so yeah, quote of the week. Okay. Quote of the week. Let's get it. What's the next one? Okay, quote of the week. Oh, I love that. This is a vibe. Okay, so quote of the week. The quote of the week, okay, is from Richard Branson. Actually, I don't know if it's from him, but he said it on his... Richard Branson said this thing on his... I watched his documentary when I was on the plane here, and I love diving into like people like that. I'm like, okay, what makes you the way you are? Because obviously he's a daredevil, entrepreneur, philanthropist, or whatever you call that. And he's just like overpowering the world, like, because he just is well known. He's like... Has he went to space? I think he did. I think I fell asleep by the end of the episode, to be honest. But anyway, so he said this thing and they were like, he was going into space and he said, the brave do not live forever, but the cautious have not lived at all. And I loved that. I was like, that makes so much sense because even though sometimes the brave is short-lived, like they really have lived, they've like given everything, they've evolved, they've grew. And then he said the cautious have not lived at all. And if you go through life being cautious and not coming out of your comfort zone, have we even lived at all? Like we're on this earth to experience, to grow, to evolve. And I feel like I've definitely been doing that myself, like the last few while, like putting myself in brave situations and being really, really scared, doing it scared, and then feeling this overwhelming feeling of proudness, of evolvement, of growth, I just feel, and then sometimes I go back into my nook. I'm back in my nook right now, but I went full throttle into my braveness, but I'm in my nook now. But also like we do have to venture out. Like there is this, we do love security, we do love routine, but sometimes we have to venture out and be brave. And I just love that. But also, why does Richard Branson do all these crazy things? Now this is just like go into his brain. So when I was watching his show, I was like, he actually did so many crazy things. Like the whole hot air ballooning around the world, sorry, accent. That was actually not wise. Like that was crazy. And like he nearly died so many times and he has kids. And I was like, why is he doing all these crazy things? Like why is it never ending amount of daredevil things? And even though that amazing quote, like the brave do not live forever, but the cautious have not lived at all. Like also like you're putting your life in danger. like you have kids, like they have no like it was just like crazy. And I do understand like he's got this daredevil thing, but I was like, why does he have this daredevil streak in him? So anyway, before, I was thinking to myself, his mum or dad, one of them, you know, praises his overachievements and also maybe doesn't give him enough praise enough to get him to stop, if you know what I mean. So I was kind of like, usually someone who's like a massive overachiever, who's always overachieving, is someone who got loads of praise when they achieved something, only got love as a child when they were doing something crazy. Now you watch his documentary and his mom had this love for him to do all these crazy things. And even after he went to space, she was like, what are you going to do next? That was like what he said in the documentary. And sometimes you got to realize, like, are you doing it for you? Are you doing it for involvement? Are you doing it for the uniqueness of you and you? Or are you doing it because you don't feel loved in a certain part? And like that is your way of praise and love. That's how you know validation. Now, there's all these different types of people who get different types of validation in different ways. And also especially comes down to your primary caregiver. So how you are given praise and love from your primary caregiver will come into your life and come into your behaviors. But that's why it's like, okay, this quote of the brave do not live forever, but the cautious have not lived at all. Like you have to, I understand that, but also like I understood everything about him when I knew his relationship with his mom. I understood why he did all these crazy things. And then it was like, why does she want him to do all these crazy things? Like she was always there pushing him. She's like, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? And she's like, oh, that's not even scratch the surface. She also had this massive entrepreneurial role herself. Like she was always making businesses. So obviously like her entrepreneurial spirit was like kind of pushed on him and she was like loving it. And then they were like, why do you want? And she loved telling stories and it's an amazing thing. But you know, for Richard Branson to risk his life in a hot air balloon when he has children just to like give his mom a story, sometimes we gotta really think about why we're doing these things. Do you know what I mean? So I thought like that was a really good quote, and then also a really good like personality analysis of why Richard Branson does the things that he do. So ask yourself and look around the people that you are with and ask, you know, why are they the way they are and why do they do the things that they do? Like you might notice that people seek validation in different ways. Like they might seek validation in work and high achievement. They might seek validation from, you know, attention from men, women. You know, a lot of people strive on like Tinder, Hinge, because it's a lot of reinforcement, it's a lot of validation, and why they do the things they do. Like even if someone gets drunk and gets to someone, like, do you ever get drunk, get with someone you don't like, you've got beer goggles on, you wouldn't want to get with them. Like sometimes you got to think like, why do I want to get with those people? Because like maybe like I need that validation when I'm drunk, like because I'm feeling low on myself, and like I don't know, sometimes it's nice to like question these things. So I loved watching the Richard Branson documentary. I thought it was very good to like get into his life and understand why he did all these things. And sometimes it does come down to getting validation from your primary caregiver. You know what I mean? So look at your own relationship and see how you achieve things, and make sure that you're doing things for you. You know what I mean? Like make sure like when you're doing things to achieve and all these things, like do them for you. So it's nice to, but also like when you think about all the amazing things that happened in life, like, you know, Richard Branson going to space or doing the hot air balloon or Virgin Atlantic, you know, would those things happen without, you know, his mom? No, I don't think they would. So we need an element of this childhood, you know, to push us into like the new world. And because like at the end of the day, like his company and everything that he's done has really pushed into like this new era, and there's like all these amazing things that have happened through this. So I suppose we need this. We need the validation of our parents. We need the validation, like the balance, maybe. I don't know. So it's nice to just think about these things and like go into like the deepness of all this. Woo. Yes. So this would be where they say. So instead of Sinead Says, they say section. This is the they say section. So because it's episode 1 of, well, it's not episode 1. It is the new season. I don't have any says because you haven't given me anything yet. So this is where you're going to email into our email or send us an Instagram message at the Sinead Says Podcast on Instagram or TikTok. And we also have a little email which will go which would probably be the best. But like, no, actually, you know what? In the Sinead Says Podcast Instagram, I want to hear from you. I want to know your feedback on the sections. I want to know what you thought of last year's podcast. Like, I want to know any questions that you want to ask me. I'm just going to get the email for you here. So it's scenarios@sineadhegarty.com, scenarios@sineadhegarty.com. And we just want to hear from you. I just want you to be more involved in the podcast so you feel more involved and we can talk about things like, do you want more guests? Do you want more solo shots? Like, is this fucking, I don't know. Yeah. So we have a lot more to talk about, a lot more to catch up on, but I felt like I just wanted to keep this one short and sweet, because we have a whole season to get in. And once again, if you like this podcast, please review, give us 5 stars, like whatever you feel, but 5 stars obviously helps me. And also please follow the podcast as well. It really, really helps me grow. And yeah, thank you so much. And see you next week. Woo.